The Deep Space Monitoring Station hung in perfect silence, its spiked hull rotating slowly against the star-speckled void. Inside the dimly lit command center, Vorac High Observer Crixus Tal studied the flickering holographic displays with his compound eyes. His chitinous fingers tapped against the console, the sound echoing through the empty chamber. The night shift was always quiet until it wasn't. Junior technician Zyle scurried into the room, his bioluminescent markings pulsing with nervous energy. "High Observer," he clicked, mandibles trembling. "The long-range array has detected an anomaly." Crixtal turned, his obsidian, like plating glinting under the station's pale lights. "Explain," Zyle hesitated, then gestured to the main display. A waveform pulsed erratically across the screen, its pattern unfamiliar. "This frequency, it matches nothing in our archives," he muttered. "It is coming from a system marked Quarantined Sector Feifei." Crix's Tal's antennae twitched. Sector Feifei was a graveyard, a place the Vorac High Command had declared off. "Limits centuries ago. Run it through the decryption matrix," he ordered. Zyle's claws danced over the controls. The waveforms stabilized, resolving into a distorted but unmistakable pattern. A voice. A human voice. "This is Earth calling. Is anyone out there?" The message repeated, crackling with age but undeniably clear. Crixtal felt his exoskeleton tighten. Humans were extinct, wiped out in the Third Galactic Purge. The Vorac archives were clear on that. "Impossible," Crixtal hissed. "The humans were eradicated, their worlds glassed, their ships scuttled." Zyl's markings flickered faster. "The signal is old, High Observer, ancient, even. But it is being relayed by something recent." Crix's Tal leaned closer, his mandibles parting slightly. The implications were staggering. If this was real, if humans still existed in some form, "Pull the records," he commanded. "Everything we have on Sector Feifei." Zyle accessed the archives, his claws trembling. The screen filled with fragmented data, old battle reports, scout logs, and, most damning of all, a single classified entry from the High Command. "Sector Feifei containment breach detected. All scout teams lost. Recommend permanent quarantine." Crixtal's blood ran cold. Lost, they never reported how they were lost. Zyl swallowed hard. "High Observer, what if the humans weren't wiped out? What if they just left?" The message continued to play, looping endlessly. "This is Earth calling. Is anyone out there?" Crix's Tal straightened, his mind racing. If this was real, if humans still lurked in the dark between the stars, the Vorac Dominion had made a grave mistake. "Contact High Command," he said, his voice low. "Tell them, we found something they need to see." Zyle hesitated. "Should we tell them it is human?" Crixtal's eyes darkened. "Not yet. First we verify, then we prepare." The station hummed around them, its sensors still locked onto the repeating signal. "This is Earth calling." Somewhere, in the depths of space, something was listening. And it wasn't Vorac. The claw of Dominion cut through the void like a blade through flesh, its jagged hull absorbing the faint starlight. Inside the command nexus, Captain Vexthar flexed his serrated claws against the armrest of his throne. The Vorac warlord's scarred exoskeleton bore the marks of 100 battles, each ridge a story of conquest. Approaching the quarantine boundary, Lieutenant Triss reported, his 4 eyes scanning the holographic display. The science officer's bioluminescent markings flickered with unease. Sensors detect heavy nebular interference, visibility near 0. Vexthar snorted, a wet, guttural sound, irrelevant, full thrust. "If there are humans in that system, well, scrape them from their hiding holes." The dreadnought's engines flared, pushing the vessel into the swirling crimson mist of the nebula. Static crackled across the view screens as the ship's systems struggled against the cosmic interference. Junior Technician Zyle, reassigned from the monitoring station, clutched his datapad tighter. His mandibles clicked nervously. Captain, historical records indicate this sector was sealed after the human-Vorac war. Xyle ventured. The council declared it forbidden for a reason. Vexthar backhanded him without looking. The younger Vorac crashed into a console, his chitin cracking. The council fears ghosts, the captain growled. I hunt prey. Silence fell over the bridge as the claw pressed deeper. Then, without warning, the nebula parted like a curtain. The crew froze. Before them stretched an ocean of dead ships. Hundreds, no, thousands of vessels drifted in the void, their hulls scarred but intact. Some were ancient, their designs archaic even by human standards. Others looked newer, their angular frames bearing the marks of advanced technology, but all shared one feature: they were empty. No life signs, Rhys murmured, his voice uncharacteristically quiet. No distress beacons, no wreckage from combat, just abandoned. Vexthar's claws dug into his throne. Impossible. Humans don't abandon their ships. They die in them like the vermin they are. A marine squad was dispatched within minutes, their armored forms jetting across the void to the nearest derelict, the USN Defiance. According to the faded lettering on its hull, the boarding party forced open the airlock with plasma cutters, their rifle-mounted lights slicing through the darkness. Inside, the ship was pristine. No bodies, no blood. Just cold, silent corridors where humans should have been. Captain, the squad leader combed, his voice tight. We've found something. Deep in the ship's command center, a single console hummed to life as they approached. A hologram flickered, resolving into the image of a human male in a tattered uniform. Captain Ryan Blake, according to the insignia. His recorded message played, the words crisp despite the centuries. If you're hearing this, we've already left. Blake's eyes burned with something that made even the Vorac Marines tense. Earth's children are everywhere now, and were watching. The hologram dissolved. The console went dark, back on the claw of Dominion. Vexthar stared at the feed from the Marine squad, his claws twitching. Scan the rest of the graveyard, he ordered. I want every ship checked. If the humans fled, they left traces. Rhys hesitated. Captain, these ships span centuries. Some are older than the war itself. If the humans have been coming here all this time, then we'll burn their hiding places one by one. Vexthar snarled. The dreadnought's weapons powered up, targeting the nearest derelict. But before the order to fire could be given, Xyle let out a sharp click. New contact, the technician blurted. Bearing 090 closing fast. On the view screen, a single ship emerged from behind a drifting hulk, sleek, silent. Its hull glowed with an eerie blue light. Its design unlike anything in the Vorac databases, the USN Atlantica, and it was looking right at them. The Vorac boarding shuttle docked with a hollow clang against the derelict human warship's airlock. Lieutenant Rhys adjusted his scanner, the device's pale green light reflecting off his chitinous faceplates. Behind him, 6 Vorac Marines stood ready, their plasma rifles humming with barely restrained energy. Atmosphere stable, Rhys reported, his mandibles clicking. No life signs, no power readings either, just silence. Captain Vexthar's voice crackled through their helmet comms. Then why do I feel like we're being watched? The airlock hissed open, revealing a corridor swallowed by darkness. The Marines' shoulder lamps cut through the gloom, illuminating floating debris, tools, ration packs, a child's doll. Rhys picked it up, turning the primitive toy in his claws. They brought families aboard their warships. One of the Marines, Crass, snorted. Sentimental weakness. No wonder they died out. They moved deeper into the ship, boots clanging against metal grates. The USN Defiance was massive, far larger than any Vorac vessel of its class. Rhys ran a claw along the walls, noting the strange alloy. This isn't standard durasteel, some kind of composite, stronger than anything in our fleet. Crass kicked open a door labeled crew quarters. The bunks were neatly made. Personal items sat undisturbed on nightstands. A half-finished cup of coffee had solidified into a black lump. "No panic," Rhys murmured. "No signs of evacuation. They just walked away." A Marine named Vorac called from the bridge. "Lieutenant, you need to see this." The bridge was pristine. Consoles flickered with residual power. The captain's chair sat empty, a datapad still resting on the armrest. Rhys picked it up. The screen flared to life, displaying a single message. "If you're reading this, we're already gone." Vorac growled. What kind of coward abandons their post? Rhys didn't answer. His scanner was picking up something else. A faint energy signature deeper in the ship. This way. They descended into the engineering bay. The reactor core was cold, but something hummed behind a sealed bulkhead. Rhys pried it open, revealing a small holographic projector. "Activate it," Vexter ordered over comms. The projector flared to life. A human male in a tattered uniform appeared, Captain Ryan Blake, according to his insignia. His face was grim but calm. "To whoever finds this message," Blake began. "You're probably wondering where we went. The answer is simple. We evolved." Static distorted the image momentarily before clearing. "The Vorac, the Zenthari, the Galactic Federation. You all thought we were weak, fragile. You quarantined our sector hoping we'd die off. But while you were busy fighting over scraps, we were learning, growing." Rhys's scanner suddenly spiked. "Captain, I'm detecting." The hologram continued, oblivious. "Our ships don't need warp drives anymore. Our weapons don't need ammunition. We've moved beyond the physical limitations that bind your species." Crass laughed nervously. "Is this some kind of joke? Humans were barely FTL capable when they vanished." The hologram's eyes seemed to focus on them. "If you're hearing this, it means you found one of our graveyards. These ships are relics, deliberately left behind to make you underestimate us. Earth's children are everywhere now, and we're watching." The projector died. The Marines stood in stunned silence. Then the entire ship shuddered. Alarms blared through the comms. "Lieutenant," Vexter roared. "Get back here now." Rhys sprinted for the shuttle. His mind racing, as the Marines piled in behind him, he caught one last glimpse of the Defiance's bridge through a viewport. The captain's chair was no longer empty. A human sat there, smiling. Then the viewport went dark. The alarms screamed through the claw of Dominion's bridge, a piercing wail that set every Vorac's chitin on edge. Captain Vextar's claws dug into his command throne as the tactical display flared crimson. "Report," he barked, his voice like grinding stone. Junior Sensor Officer Crixal trembled, his bioluminescent markings flickering erratically. "Unknown vessel, Captain. It just appeared. No warp signature, no drive emissions, nothing." Vextar's secondary eyes narrowed. "Impossible. Scan again." Before Crixal could respond, the view screen flickered. A sleek, silver-blue ship materialized off their bow, its smooth hull unmarred by weapons ports or thrusters. It glowed faintly like moonlight on water. Lieutenant Rhys' mandibles clicked rapidly. "That design, it's human. But not like the Rex. This is different," Vextar finished, his gut churning. A chime echoed through the bridge. The view screen shifted, revealing a human woman with sharp features and ice-blue eyes. Her uniform was black, unadorned except for a silver insignia, a stylized Earth wrapped in what looked like folded space. "Vorac vessel Claw of Dominion," she said, her voice calm but edged with steel. "This is Captain Lisa Hayes of the US and Atlantica. You are trespassing in human space. Turn back or be removed." Vextar bristled. "You dare threaten a Vorac dreadnought? Human, we've erased lesser species for..." Hayes didn't blink. "This is your only warning." The screen went dark. Shields up. "Weapons hot!" Vextar roared. The Atlantica vanished. "Where?" Rhys began. A tremor rocked the claw. Klaxons blared as the ship's AI screeched. "Aft shields compromised. Hull breach on deck 7. Vextar spun, The Atlantica now hovered directly behind them, so close its glow cast eerie shadows across the bridge. Impossible, Crixall shrieked. No ship can maneuver like that. Riss' claws trembled over his console. Captain, their energy signature. It's not warp, it's spatial distortion. They're bending reality. Vexthar's blood ran cold. The comm crackled. Hayes' voice was calm. Your weapons cannot touch us. Your shields cannot stop us. This is your final chance. Leave now. Vexthar's pride warred with survival. He glanced at Riss, whose markings had dimmed to a fearful grey. Helm, Vexthar growled. Set course for the nebula maximum warp. As the claw of Dominion lurched into retreat, Hayes watched from the Atlantica's bridge. Her XO commander Reyes smirked. Think they'll tell their bosses? Hayes exhaled. Doesn't matter. The Vorac will learn the truth soon enough. Behind them, the Atlantica's drive hummed, a sound like the universe itself breathing. Then, with a ripple of folded space, the ship winked out of existence. Aboard the fleeing claw, Riss stared at the empty void where the human ship had been. His voice was barely a whisper. They weren't hiding, they were waiting. Vexthar said nothing. For the first time in his life, the Vorac warlord felt fear. The command chamber of the Vorac High Council buzzed with tension. High Observer Crix's Tal's obsidian plating rattled as he slammed a clawed fist against the holographic display. The star map flickered, then stabilized, bathing the room in crimson light. Explain this, Crix Tal demanded, mandibles clicking furiously. Lieutenant Riss adjusted the projection. Pinpoints of red light spread across the galactic arm like a virus. Every marker represents confirmed human presence. Our deepest scout probes found them in sectors we believed uninhabitable, ice worlds, gas giants, even stellar coronas. A younger counselor, her chitin still soft with youth, leaned forward. These cannot be the same humans. Their ships were primitive. Their technology was a mask. Crix Tal interrupted. His bioluminescent markings pulsed erratically. The wreckage we found, decoys, the transmissions, bait. They wanted us to believe they'd died out. Silence gripped the chamber. The star map zoomed in on a particularly dense cluster near the galactic core. Riss tapped a control. The image resolved into a massive structure, a Dyson swarm encircling a blue giant. Construction signatures match human design patterns, Riss said quietly. Energy output exceeds our entire fleet by 3 orders of magnitude. Crix Tal's claws scraped against the polished obsidian table. How their last known vessels used chemical propulsion. We watched them struggle to reach their own moons. A new voice cut through the chamber's tension. You watched what we let you see. Every Vorac head snapped toward the speaker. A human figure materialized in their midst, not a hologram, but a solid projection wearing a black uniform devoid of insignia. Identify yourself, Crix Tal barked. Admiral Vance Carter, United Earth Stellar Navy. The human's lips quirked. Retired, technically, though I suppose retirement means something different now. Riss activated his scanner. The readings made his carapace flush pale. This isn't a transmission. He is actually here. Quantum entanglement at planetary scale. Carter nodded. Good. You're smarter than your ancestors. He gestured, and the star map shifted again. New connections formed between the red markers, threads of light weaving an intricate web. The exodus wasn't a retreat, Carter continued. It was an awakening. While you waged wars over barren rocks, we solved the fundamental problems. Gravity manipulation, entangled consciousness, dimensional folding. Crix Tal's claws twitched toward his sidearm. You expect us to believe humans achieved this in mere centuries? Carter laughed. Oh, Crix Tal, you still think in linear terms. He snapped his fingers. The chamber walls dissolved. Suddenly, the Vorac Council stood on an observation platform floating in deep space. Below them, a human fleet materialized, not hundreds but millions of ships. each glowing with that same eerie blue light. "Meet the 7th Expansion Fleet," Carter said. "Just returned from Andromeda." Riss's scanner exploded in his claws. "Impossible. The energy requirements alone are trivial when you can harvest dark energy directly." Carter waved a hand, and space itself rippled. Stars stretched into streaks as the view zoomed toward a spiral galaxy. "This is NGC Faye, our primary shipyard now." The youngest counselor collapsed to her knees. "All this time, we thought we were the apex predators." Carter's expression softened. "Every intelligent species makes that mistake." He turned to Crixtal. "Your people have two choices: join the network willingly or be left behind in the dark." Crixtal's plating rattled violently. "This is an invasion." "No," Carter corrected. "It is an invitation." He pointed to the holographic Earth floating above them. "We could have crushed you the moment you entered that graveyard. Instead, we let you see the truth." The projection began fading. "Think carefully, High Observer. The age of petty empires is over. The universe is bigger than your hunger." As Carter vanished, the chamber walls rematerialized. The Vorac stared at each other, then at the star map still glowing on the table. The red markers pulsed like a heartbeat. Riss was the first to speak. "They didn't just surpass us, they redefined what civilization means." Crixtal slumped into his chair for the first time in his long life. The mighty Vorac warlord looked small. "Signal the fleet. Recall all border patrols." Outside the chamber, alarms began wailing. The Council's viewports activated automatically, revealing the impossible: a human dreadnought, sleek and terrible, hanging in orbit just beyond their defensive grid. No warning. No approach vector, it had simply appeared. The ship's comm channel opened with a burst of static. A new voice, female and firm, echoed through the chamber. "This is Captain Lisa Hayes of the US and Atlantica. You have 1 hour to acknowledge Admiral Carter's terms." Crixtal stared at the dreadnought's smooth, weaponless hull. "Or what?" Hayes's voice turned icy. "Or we demonstrate why we don't need warships anymore." The transmission cut off on the star map. A new marker flared to life right above the Vorac homeworld. Riss whispered what every Vorac was thinking. They weren't hiding. They were waiting. The chamber's temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. Somewhere in the depths of the palace, a power conduit exploded. No one moved to fix it. Crixtal finally stood. His bioluminescent markings dimmed to near darkness. "Summon the Science Directorate and prepare the surrender protocols." As the Council scrambled to obey, the star map continued updating. More red markers appeared every second. The web grew denser. The message was clear. Humanity wasn't coming. It was already here. The Vorac homeworld skies burned crimson as the human fleet materialized from nothing. One moment, the orbital defenses scanned empty space. The next, 300 warships hung like executioners' blades above the planet. Their hulls gleamed with an unnatural sheen, their silhouettes sleek and predatory. No warp signatures, no energy spikes. They simply were on the bridge of the US in Atlantica. Captain Lisa Hayes watched the Vorac homeworld through the main viewer. Her fingers tapped a slow rhythm on the armrest of her command chair. The Vorac defense fleet scrambled below, their jagged ships forming ragged defensive lines. It was almost pitiable. "Open a channel to the High Council," she said. The comm officer nodded. "Channel open, Captain." Hayes leaned forward. "Vorac High Council. This is Captain Lisa Hayes of the United Earth Stellar Navy. You are trespassing in human space. You have desecrated our graveyards. You have ignored our warnings." Her voice was calm, icy. "This ends now." The main screen flickered, revealing the Vorac High Chancellor in his obsidian throne room. His chitinous plates rattled with barely suppressed fury. "You dare threaten us in our own system, your pitiful fleet." Hayes cut him off. "Watch." A single ship, the USN Event Horizon, detached from the human formation. It was smaller than the others, its hull a matte black that seemed to drink in the light. It drifted toward the system's fourth moon, a barren rock the Vorac used for mining. On the claw of Dominion, Captain Vexthar snarled, "What is that thing doing?" "Target it." His weapons officer hesitated. "Sir, our scanners can't get a lock. It's like it's not even there." The event horizon halted above the moon. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then space itself rippled. The moon shimmered, distorted, and vanished silence. Then, 1,000 kilometers away, the moon reappeared. It hung now between the human fleet and the Vorac homeworld, its surface cracked and glowing with residual energy. The Vorac bridge crews stared. The High Chancellor's mandibles slackened. Hayes' voice cut through the silence. "That was a demonstration. We don't use warp drives. Chancellor, we fold space. We move planets. We could drop your moon onto your capital city before your defenses even register the threat." She let that sink in. "But we won't because unlike you, we don't slaughter the helpless." The High Chancellor's voice was a whisper. "What do you want?" "Surrender unconditional. Your fleet stand down. Your borders open to human oversight. Your species learns its place." Hayes leaned back. "Or we show you what happens when we stop being polite." On the claw of Dominion, Vexthar's claws dug into his command console. "This is impossible. They're humans, primitive, soft-skinned." His science officer, Riss, turned slowly. "Captain, look at their ships again. Really look." Vexthar did. The human vessels weren't just advanced. They were old. Some bore scars millennia old, their designs evolving across eras. These weren't new ships. They were relics of a civilization that had outgrown the need for war until the Vorac forced their hand. On the surface, riots erupted as the populace saw the moon displaced. The Vorac High Council's chambers descended into chaos. The Chancellor's voice, when it came, was broken. "We submit." Hayes nodded. "Wise choice. Transmitting coordinates for your fleet's disarmament. Any resistance will be met with annihilation." She paused. "And Chancellor, welcome to the new galaxy." The transmission cut across the Vorac homeworld. Defense platforms powered down. Ships dropped their weapons locks. The claw of Dominion's engines died with a final shuddering whine. In the silence that followed, Chris stared at the human fleet. "They let us think they were extinct. They let us believe we were the apex predators." His voice was hollow. All this time they were watching. Vexthar said nothing. For the first time in his life, the Vorac warlord felt fear. Above them the human ships held position, waiting, judging the age of hiding was over. The Vorac High Chancellor's mandibles trembled as the holographic projection of Earth dominated the council chamber. The blue marble hung in the air, its swirling clouds and vast oceans, a stark contrast to the barren spires of the Vorac homeworld. Around it, hundreds of human ships maintained perfect formation without thrusters, without warp signatures, just hovering through some incomprehensible mastery of physics. Captain Lisa Hayes's face appeared beside the planetary projection, her expression unreadable. The Vorac Council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats, their chitinous plates clicking against the stone benches. For the first time in their species' violent history, they felt small. "You will disarm your fleet," Hayes said, her voice calm, but carrying the weight of 1,000 suns. "You will recall your warships from occupied systems. You will submit to human oversight for the next 50 cycles." High Observer Crix's Tal rose from his seat, his obsidian carapace reflecting the hologram's glow. "You ask for surrender," he hissed. "The Vorac do not." "You misunderstand," Hayes interrupted. A single human vessel, the USN Atlantica, detached from the armada above them. It descended through the atmosphere without burning, without sound, coming to rest just beyond the Council Spire's energy shields. This isn't a negotiation. The chamber's massive viewport darkened as the Atlantica's hull began to pulse, with that same eerie blue light they'd witnessed earlier. Space itself seemed to warp around the ship, the stars behind it stretching like taffy. Then, with a flash that made every Vorac instinctively shield their compound eyes, a moon appeared where none had been before. Gasps echoed through the chamber as the celestial body, clearly teleported from some distant system, hung motionless above their world. Calculations flashed across the Council's displays. Tidal forces should have ripped their planet apart. The gravitational imbalance should have shattered continents. Yet everything remained perfectly stable, as if the humans had rewritten the laws of astrophysics on a whim. Lieutenant Hriss, the science officer from the Claw of Dominion, collapsed into his seat. His bioluminescent markings flickered erratically. "They're not just ahead of us," he whispered. "They're playing an entirely different game." The hologram shifted, showing the galaxy with human territories marked in pulsating red. The Vorac had believed their empire spanned a respectable portion of the Orion Arm. The truth made their conquests look like a child's scribble. Human colonies stretched across spiral arms they'd considered unreachable, through nebulas they'd marked as impassable. "You thought us weak," Hayes continued. The projection zoomed in on a single system soul. "You thought us extinct. When you detected that ancient distress signal, you came expecting to find bones and ruins." Her lips curled into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Instead, you found the answer to a question your species has been too arrogant to ask. What happens when a civilization has 10,000 years to prepare?" A new voice crackled through the chamber speakers. Captain Ryan Blake's recording from the Defiance, clear as if he stood among them. "Earth's children are everywhere now." The High Chancellor's foreclaws dug into the stone podium as the weight of their mistake crushed him. All those centuries of dismissing humans as soft, as fragile, as evolutionary dead ends. They'd laughed at the two-legged mammals with their soft skin and ridiculous lifespans. Now those same mammals held their world in the palm of their hand. A junior counselor near the back suddenly accessed the ancient archives, pulling up the first Vorac assessment of humanity from millennia ago. The words burned in the air: primitive, limited, no threat. The projection lingered on that final judgment before dissolving into static. Hayes waited until the last whisper died down. "Your scientists will work with ours to develop clean energy solutions. Your military will be restructured for system defense only, your historians." She paused, and for the first time something resembling pity crossed her features. "Your historians will learn the truth about what humanity has been doing while you waged your petty wars." Outside, the human fleet began to move, not with the clumsy thrusters the Vorac used, but by bending space itself. Ships flickered out of existence in one location and appeared light, years away in the blink of an eye. The Atlantica remained, its presence a silent promise, or threat. The High Chancellor's voice was barely audible when he finally spoke. "We will comply." Hayes nodded. "Wise choice." Her image began to fade. "Oh, and Chancellor, that moon we brought. It is yours to keep. Consider it a cultural exchange." As the transmission ended, the chamber's main display activated on its own. A message scrolled across every screen in the Vorac language, but the words carried the weight of human irony. "Welcome to the galactic neighborhood." Crix's Tal stared at the impossible moon hanging in their sky. Its craters formed patterns that almost looked like letters when viewed from certain angles. He adjusted his ocular implants, magnifying the view. There, carved into the lunar surface by forces beyond his comprehension, was a single word in the ancient human script. "Hello." Across the galaxy, on thousands of worlds. Similar scenes played out. Human vessels emerged from the void where none should exist. Ancient colonies revealed their true populations. Hidden shipyards opened their docks. The signal that started it all, that plaintive is anyone out there, was replaced by a new transmission, broadcast on every frequency, in every language, to every corner of the known universe. We are everywhere now. The age of hiding is over.